Yamunatiravanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jai Vishnu Padma Mahamsa Jai Chodhara Shadha Shishmada Zangasi Bhakti Swami Prabhu Jai. All glories to the simple devotees. All glories to the simple devotees. All glories to the simple devotees. I just want to show them something. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Granga. So I was informed by Vijay Prabhu that these mridangas here, the Tilak mridangas. Thank you, sir. These Tilak mridangas, they are Ritvik mridangas.
Oh, really?
That's what that means. They're made by the Ritvik group devotees. And the other ones, the Balaram mridangas, which are different than these, and cost a lot more, and are better, according to Vijay, are made by Ratnabhushan. So we have... Because the Ritviks, I was thinking, they got their own books, the KB books, and they also have their own mridangas, I guess. They have their own gurus too, right?
Well, one guru.
Well, they need someone, I guess. I don't know if there's somebody who initiates them on behalf of Prabhupada, which there are Prabhupada disciples then,
When Guru Swami gave initiation, he said on behalf of Prabhupada.
Yeah, of course. That's true. That's true.
It's like the same thing.
That's true. Devotees say that. And there were some questions about that, but we don't have to get into that right now. But it's interesting because this idea of Prabhupada being the only guru, bona fide guru, and no one else being other disciples of anyone else. Even in India, it's really big actually, way bigger than America. They're doing a lot better. The Ritvik devotees are doing way better than American devotees in preaching. They got big temples, Ritvik temples, huge. In Vrindavan, they're building a huge temple. But one of the main devotees who does it is Madhu Pandit Das, and he's, however, I don't know how he does it. I don't even know if they say on behalf. God knows, I don't know. But somehow or other, a ceremony is conducted in which whether they say behalf or God knows what, but somehow the ceremony is conducted in which Ryan becomes a Prabhupada disciple.
Can I take initiation just straight from Krishna?
Sandipani Muni, you could be Krishna's godbrother. But so Madhu Pandit is one of the leaders, the main leaders, Indian devotee, and still. People in India, they have it in their mind, this idea of having a guru, a living guru. So even though they get initiated by Madhu Pandit, he's like the leader, but they're actually Prabhupada disciples, supposedly Prabhupada disciples. Still you ask those people, I heard this from Bhakti Vikas Swami, he said, still you ask the people, who's your guru, And they won't say, Prabhupada's my guru, I'm a Prabhupada disciple. They say, who's your guru? And they say, Madhu Pandit's my guru. Many people say that, Madhu Pandit, because you ask a lot of them, Madhu Pandit. So it's kind of like ingrained in people, right. Anyways, that's just, I was just informing you that both those mridangas, Vijay Prabhu told me that. Just for your information. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 So this morning we were reading from the Srimadbhagavatam, Canto 3, Status Quo, text or chapter 26, Fundamental Principles of Material Nature. And we're on text. Is everybody ready? Sahasra Shirsam Sakshad Yam Anantam Prachakshate Sankarshanakyam Purusham Putendriya Manomayam Sahasra Shirsam Sakshad Yam Anantam Prachakshate Sankarshanakyam Purusham Putendriya Manomayam Sahasra Shirsam Sakshad Yam Anantam Prachakshate Sankarshanakyam Purusham Putendriya Manomayam.
Sahasra Shirsam Sakshad Yamanantam Prachakshate Sankarshanakyam Purusham Putendriya Manomayam. Sahasra Shirsam Sakshad Yamanantam Prachakshate Sankarshanakyam Purusham Putendriya Manomayam. Sahasra Shirsam Sakshad Yamanantam Prachakshate Sankarshanakyam Purusham Putendriya Manomayam.
Sahasra Shirsam with the 1,000 heads. Sakshat directly. Yam whom? Anantam Ananta. Prachakshate they call. Sankarshana Akyam Sankarshan by name. Purusham the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Bhuta the gross elements. Indriya the senses. Manamayam consisting of the mind. Translation. The threefold Ahankar, the source of the gross elements, the senses and the mind, is identical with them because it is their cause. It is known by the name of Sankarshan, who is directly Lord Ananta with 1,000 heads. Alright, I'll read one more. Katritvam karanatvam cha karyatvam chedilakshanam shanta gora vimudatvam iti va syarahankrite. This false ego is characterized as the doer, as an instrument, and as an effect. It is further characterized as serene, active, or dull, according to how it is influenced by the modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance. Purport. Ahankara, false ego, is transformed into the demigods, the controlling directors of material affairs. As an instrument, the false ego is represented as different senses and sense organs, and as a result of the combination of the demigods and the senses, material objects are produced. In the material world, we are producing so many things, and this is called advancement of civilization. But factually, the advancement of civilization is a manifestation of the false ego. By false ego, all material things are produced as objects of enjoyment. One has to cease increasing artificial necessities in the form of material objects. One great Acharya, Narottam Das Thakur, has lamented that when one deviates from pure consciousness of Vasudeva or Krishna consciousness, he becomes entangled in material activities. The exact words he uses are satsanga chadi kanu asatte vilas te karana lagila ye karma bandha pangsa. I've given up this pure status of consciousness because I wanted to enjoy it in the temporary material manifestation. Therefore, I've been entangled in the network of actions and reactions. Oh my God, Devananda Sagan International Mukam Karivachalam Pangam Nanga Tegadam Kapatam Hande Shigundu Taranam Ancha Kapadi Vishakapasinipe Vichapatitanam Pavani Vaishnavi Bhavanamaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaurabhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Hare. So devotees, when they saw the 5th canto, they thought they were going to hear about hell. But I'm not going to read those verses. Sorry. You have to read them on your own. But I'll read something from the 5th canto. Some nice shlokas in the chapter. Activities of Lord Rishabhadev. So yeah, the false ego is something that we carry along with us birth after birth. The mind, the intelligence, and the false ego, the subtle body. And everything else is whatever, burnt up, or the body's burnt up, or however it's disposed of. And then that subtle body, with the soul, we go into the next body. And dealing with the false ego is quite, you could say, a challenge. The mind, the intelligence, the contaminated mind, the contaminated intelligence, the false ego, it's quite a challenge for those who are just trying to be human beings, for those just trying to be, normal people, not completely drowned in illusion. It's difficult because of this, the mind, intelligence, and the false ego, contaminated mind, intelligence, false ego. And if it gets really, then really the modes are relentless. I mean, they'll just destroy us. They don't care. Maya doesn't care. Material energy doesn't care. They'll just destroy us, really. It's not that there's some, like material energy thinks, oh, too bad, this person's sinking in the mode of ignorance. Oh, too bad. Oh, it just happens. Just like a fire, you touch your finger in the fire, you get burnt. It's just the same principle. So it's not that the fire says, oh, this guy's a nice guy. I'm gonna spare him this time. Or this person's only, 3 years old. I'm gonna spare him. No, it's a fire. You get burnt. So, like I was just thinking about, there's this guy who was coming around here. Maybe some of you saw him yesterday. Homeless-looking guy. Maybe he's out here sleeping right now. Yeah. So, he was coming around some time ago, and he was one of Mitch's friends or something. And, in many ways, he's a nice guy, actually. Friendly, nice guy. I mean, he's a little, say mentally, whatever. But he's a nice guy in many ways, And devotees also asked him to leave last time. They called the police, this and that. Which, it could be argued whether, anyways, but. And then he left. And then he was gone for months, and he came back just yesterday, taking prasadam and all that, whatever he was doing. I don't know. But I didn't really look at him closely, but then yesterday in the afternoon I saw him closely, and his whole body was dirty and his clothes were dirty. He looked a lot worse off than when he was, before. and he's sinking deeper into the mode of ignorance, unfortunately. And I was just thinking, the modes are relentless, which just that will happen, Someone just sinks in ignorance big time, or passion, or goodness, they just get stuck there. Hopefully it comes out of it. And people, they become so bewildered and so in illusion that they do all types of really stupid things. They do all types of stupid things. Of course, I don't follow any of these, the news and all that. I'm just trying to read the Bhagavatam, actually. Just to have enough time to read the Bhagavatam, actually, is difficult sometimes. Of course. But I don't follow the news. But, devotees tell me. Like Vijay Prabhu the other day, somehow or other, he said it popped up on his phone. This big shooting in Vegas. There was 58 people killed and hundreds injured at some country music concert. An interesting Giridhari Priya up in Santa Barbara, everybody knows him, he works at a gym, I guess he teaches or whatever, and he said that one of the teachers, a woman, and her husband were one of the victims, who died. And you could see that the guy, he just, I don't know about the crazy guy who did it, but obviously he went insane, he went insane, he lost it. His mind, his materially contaminated mind, his materially contaminated intelligence, his false ego sink so deep and dark into the lower modes of ignorance and violence and hatred, he didn't care, he just did something stupid like that. And it's interesting, how graphic things are actually nowadays, where people don't really care, anyways, I thought it was pretty weird, but I was in the car with Adri Darn, and we're driving, and then, he had the news on, and they were talking about that, and we listened to it for maybe 5-10 minutes. But I don't know why they did this, but in the news, they on the radio station, they say, oh yeah, we have it's been recorded, the sound effects, have been recorded. So and then they played it, on the radio, of the gunshots and people screaming and stuff. It's like, what's the point of that? Really insensitive, strange, I thought. It kind of freaked me out, actually. So yeah, this is the thing that, the modes, the disease is a disease, There's a small, you could say, are the beginning stages, and then there's the later stages. Of course, most people don't go to those later stages, thank God. And most people don't go to those later stages, but the disease is still the same. This lust and anger and violence and selfishness and all these types of things. Destructive. So in the 5th canto, it's giving us advice how to deal with our mind, which everybody has to deal with every day. And of course, Christian Bhagavad Gita says we should make friends with our mind, but but we can only make friends with our mind really when our mind is purified. Just like we only make friends with devotees, really, because that is beneficial association, that's uplifting association. We make friends with materialistic people, like Dharma Setu was saying in the class yesterday, worldly-minded people who are not interested in Krishna consciousness, then they just drag us into, materialism. So we make friends with devotees. So similarly, the mind, we make friends with the mind only when the mind's a devotee, right? But in the Bhagavatam, the Activities of Lord Rishabhadev, Canto 5, Chapter 6, Text 2, in a few verses, it explains how to deal with the mind. And Dharma Setu Prabhu also quoted this yesterday about the animal being in a cage, So I'll just read a few of those. Sri Shukadev Goswami replied, "My dear king, you have spoken correctly. However, after capturing animals, a cunning hunter does not put faith in them, for they might run away. Similarly, those who are advanced in spiritual life do not put faith in the mind. Indeed, they always remain vigilant and watch the mind's actions. So yeah, it's referring to that. Okay, there's a difference between us and our mind, and how the yogi always watches the mind's actions if it's deviating, and then it brings it back to reality, to Krishna consciousness. But also in terms of the mind's action, or watching the mind, and not putting faith in the mind. I mean, many people, they have their guru, is a mind. The mind is their guru. They don't really listen to anybody else. They don't listen to the Bhagavatam. They don't listen to devotees. They just listen to their mind, whatever their mind says. So, as aspiring Vaishnavas, the idea is we want to take guidance, association, of devotees, of advanced devotees, of people who have experience, and in this way, we could learn from them. We don't have to maybe commit the same mistakes maybe they did, for example. That's why, having, you could say, wise people around, who've been around for a long time, is good, because they made so many mistakes, and if we hear from them, maybe we could avoid those. So I'll just read a few. It says, all the learned scholars have given their opinion. The mind is by nature very restless, and one should not make friends with it. If we place full confidence in the mind, it may cheat us at any moment. Even Lord Shiva became agitated upon seeing the Mohini form of Lord Krishna. Remember that pastime, right? And Sarbara Muni also fell down from the mature stage of yogic perfection. Remember that one? Everyone remembers Sarbara Muni?
Saw the fishies.
Yeah. Yeah. Saw the fishes copulating. And under the water. Under the water, he was meditating for hundreds and thousands of years or whatever. And then he saw the fishes copulating up. And then he got agitated. He got disturbed. Sexually agitated, sexually disturbed. And he came out of the water, and then he went to go marry some princesses, whatever. And because his face was and his whole body was all wrinkled and, white and weird looking, if you spend too much time in the water, it becomes like that, all white and wrinkly. So everybody, oh my God, what is this? They're all freaked. No one wanted to marry him. And then somehow with this mystic power, he transformed his body, beautiful, and then he married 100 or whatever princesses, and then for so many years, he was in that life. But he went back to his yoga later. And does anyone remember why that happened to him? Why he was there for hundreds and thousands of years, and then one time he saw the fish, copulating or whatever, and that disturbed him. So why did that happen? Anyone remember? Yeah, offended Garuda. That's right. Remember what he said to Garuda? Yeah, Kaliya. And Sharbha, he was, I guess he was in a place in the Yamuna, and then Garuda came by and he was, eating the fish, He's a devotee who eats fish. Usually devotees don't eat fish, but he's got that body, so. He was eating fish, and then Sharbha Muni, I don't know, he said, you're being violent, you're killing all the fish, and I curse you, if you ever come back here again, you're going to die, or something like that. And then, Garuda followed it, but Krishna wasn't too happy with that. Cursing his pure devotee, his carrier, is like Lord Vishnu's carrier, you're cursing. That's like a very intimate devotee. I mean, you can imagine Vishnu, he gets on Garuda's back, and then Garuda takes him all around. And then Sharbha Muni's, criticizing, give him a hard time, saying you're going to die if you come back here. So Krishna didn't like that. So then he was overcome with material desires. And then there's that story of Shiva and Mohini Murti. So I was listening to a lecture, then Prabhupada said, Shiva, and what to speak of us, what to speak of ordinary people. Be very careful. An unchaste woman is very easily carried away by paramours. Text 4. And it sometimes happens that her husband is violently killed by her paramours. If the yogi gives his mind a chance and does not restrain it, his mind will give facility to enemies like lust, anger, and greed, and they will doubtlessly kill the yogi. The mind is the root cause of lust, anger, pride, greed, lamentation, illusion, and fear. Combined, these constitute bondage to fruit of activity. What learned man would put faith in the mind? Yeah, so obviously the basic idea is that the mind's fickle and it's unsteady, and it has this attraction to materialism naturally, this spontaneous attraction to materialism. So of course we don't have to become discouraged and depressed and oh my God, I'm fallen and this and that, but we should be careful, that when we all understand that, I'm sure that the power of the mind. So gradually our mind becomes spiritualized, and through great struggle, and like Dharma Setu was mentioned, pain. Yesterday he's mentioned this idea of pain. Gradually we become purified, and we become strong and situated at the lotus feet of Krishna, and we become undisturbed, or dhira. But this really rests on us trying to get rid of our false ego. Because that's you can say the mind and the false ego, that's the problem. So practically all the practices of Krishna consciousness deal with getting rid of our false ego. Offering someone obeisances, chanting, hearing, devotional service, it's all working on the false ego. But you could say that there's different levels of cleaning. So we could just clean it, like a pot, for example. You just clean it, or you could really scrub it. They could really scrub it and get all that black stuff off the bottom and just really give it a nice scrub. Or like our bodies, for example. You hop in the shower and take a 1 minute, 2 minute shower in cold water, and that just kind of you could say externally, to some degree, cleans your body, right? And you could get some of the impurities away, such as dirt and sweat and dead skin and all these types of things that develop on the body. Or you could take a Bhakti Swami, in Brahmachari Handbook, he does say you could take a warm shower. You take a warm shower, I could show you the page number and everything. You take a warm shower and it opens the pores, because that's what warm water does, it opens the pores. And, you use soap and cleanse the body, and in this way the sweat and the dead skin and the dirt is all washed off. And then you end with cold water, and that closes the pores. So when you get out, you're not so freezing. It closes the pores. And Manu Samhita actually says, I was just reading the other day, Manu Samhita is one of the Vedic literatures in which Srila Prabhupada quotes in Bhagavad Gita as a bona fide Vedic literature. Teachings to the Man, Manu Samhita. I was reading the other day, it said that when the body becomes dirty due to the stuff coming from your eyes, or mucus from your nose, or saliva from your mouth, or earwax, or just general dirt, in general, it says that the way in which Manu, who is advising all humankind, the way to get free of that, contamination, external contamination is by using mud. Because the mud works like a similar thing as soap. Mud, you scrub, like a mud bath, you scrub and it exfoliates all the dead skin and all that type of stuff. And of course nowadays we don't have so much mud available. We don't have a river flowing by here and get some mud from the river. We're not bathing at the ghat, down at the river with the mud and everything. We don't got a river. In Mayapur, washing the plates, you've been there, right? Remember? I think Ryan's the only one who's been to India, me and him. But in Mayapur, when you go to wash the plates, the metal plates, after prasadam, they don't have soap there, they have mud. They're like sand, and then you get all the oil off and this, and you wash it. So they got the Ganga there or whatever. So that's what Manu Samhita is saying, the mud removes. But because we don't have that facility, therefore there's a big industry of soap, which does the same thing as mud and soap. And therefore we buy soap. But anyways, that's a side thing. But the point is that, you can take a bath that just cleanses, or you could take a bath, or you take a shower that really cleanses the body externally, really scrubs. So similarly with our consciousness, we could, inattentively chant or inattentively hear or whatever it is, and that's considered to be something's happening there, some bit of a cleansing process. But the more we apply our mind and our intelligence and our full being to the process, whatever it may be, dandavats, any type of service, then the more we become purified and the more the false ego is removed. And then that reinstates us in our true identity as blissful, eternal servants of Krishna and absorbed in Krishna Kirtan. Which, Kirtan means many things. The Goswamis, I'll just end with this, the Goswamis of Vrindavan, the 6 Goswamis, they were described Krishna Kirtana, right? That they're always engaged in Krishna Kirtan. And they would chant their rounds, of course, many rounds. And they would also meet for Kirtan. They would also meet for Kirtan, like Hare Krishna Kirtan, Mridangam, Kartos, all that. But also, a lot of their Kirtan was writing. Writing. That's also Kirtan. Because what does Kirtan mean? What is it? But also, what does Kirtan mean?
Glorifying Krishna.
Glorifying Krishna. San means what? Like Sankirtan. Complete, total. Complete. And Kirtan, glorification. Complete glorification. So, and there's many, it's not that just, Sanskrit words, it's like, in the English language, you say ear, right? And generally it just means, the ear, or it can mean like an ear of corn or whatever. What do they call that? Ear? But generally it's one or two things. Sometimes it's just one thing, But with Sanskrit, there's so many different. You have one word; it means many things. So kirtan means chanting, and it also means glorification. So they were engaged in kirtan in the form of writing books: Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Nectar of Devotion, Nectar of Instruction, Ujjvala Nilamani, right? Radha Gona Deshika Deepika, Gopal Champu, they're writing so many books, right? And also Srila Prabhupada, when he was in, I forgot where he was, but one of the temples in the world, and they were discussing he was discussing with the BI, the Bhaktivedanta Institute devotees, and then there was kirtan downstairs, about the start, and then they asked Prabhupada and the devotees talking, they said, "Oh, Prabhupada, you want to come down for kirtan? We're about to have kirtan. Please come down." And they're it seems like they're kind of pressing. "Oh, you come." And then they left, and then Prabhupada said, we're having kirtan right now, discussing this Bhaktivedanta Institute, and he said they don't know what is kirtan. So kirtan means many things. Of course, we should do kirtan, that chanting and dancing with instruments like that. That's not the point, but there's also other things. And in this way, the false ego is removed, and we get what we want, what we really want. So does anyone have any questions or comments about anything?
Yeah,
Yes. So.
Bhagavatam is the source of where all these energies come from, the mind, the senses, the material energies.
Yeah.
So in other words, there's a whole reality being played, a whole like lifestyle relationships going on that are before even the things that we need to make that are inferior to us. I think that's pretty cool. It's really fascinating. Yeah, just wanted to rebring that.
Yeah, there's a whole thing going on. There's a whole arrangement made, pretty much.
Before our little tiny incidents.
Yeah, before our lives, there's a whole arrangement that happened, huge arrangement that happened. That all the expansions coming from Krishna, and then Balaram expanding, and then all these different avatars, and creating the whole universes and expanding everybody's heart. There's a whole thing going on. just for us, pretty much, just to help us, actually. Larry, you had something?
Yeah, you're saying how it's good to hang out with people who are wiser than you, so they can give you advice and stuff, and quick advancement.
Yeah.
I've also heard it say that an intelligent person can accept advice from someone that's wiser, and they don't have to go through something. And a less intelligent person will hear the advice, but they won't take it, and they have to actually experience something until they understand.
Yeah.
But it's also said that there's jnana and vijnana, there's knowledge and realized knowledge, and that realized knowledge is higher than just theoretical knowledge.
Yeah.
So what's the difference between that? Would someone who actually experienced something be wiser than one that just theoretically accepted it from a so-called wiser person?
Yeah. That's an interesting point.
This is where you use that divine discrimination.
Yeah, experience from personal experience, or bitter experience, or just from hearing. I mean, it's not absolutely necessary, that one has to experience something personally to understand its, the problems of that thing. Like, for example, if everyone went off of that, of course this is extreme case, but hopefully it makes sense. But if everyone went off of that, then it'd be like, okay, well, crystal meth, for example. Well, I've never experienced it, and how do I know it's not better than Krishna consciousness, for example? Well, I better go experience so I could have vijnan, realized knowledge of how it's not better, But from my practical experience, I could, observe people who do that, Their teeth fall out, they become, extremely mentally unstable, they're picking through trash cans. It just seems like an unpleasant experience. Of course, there's probably some, something about it, or they wouldn't do it, but still, in many ways, it seems unpleasant, So based on my observance and hearing about it, I could say, oh no, I don't want to do that, So it's kind of like smoking cigarettes, for example. You could say, if someone tells you, oh, they show you the pictures of the guy with the lungs, and they show you somebody dying, or they show you, with one of those guys who has a hole in his neck, and he talks through a little machine. You ever saw one of those guys? Yeah. When we were in middle school, Alcohol middle school, we're going back home, we'd be skateboarding, whatever, be on this guy's property, and the guy would come out like that, He pretty much scared us, to be quite honest. But he'd come out with his machine and talking, get out of here, It's like, so, you see all these things, you hear about them, it's like, okay, like, all right, yeah, I have the choice. I could go through it and experience and get, vigyan of how much it's not that good, but it's like, I could kind of see that, this isn't really working, Or somebody told me, like, hey, man, I experienced this, and, it's not good, for example. Or different aspects of reality that people have experienced that we haven't, but they say, hey, it's really not good. I suffered a lot, and, that was the worst time in my life. You know what I mean? But it is true with some things, people just, we have to all go through our experiences to learn certain things, about our life, about ourselves, which may put us in a lot of difficulty and a lot of suffering. But then we realize, like there was a devotee, and he wanted to get married. Nothing wrong with marriage, in Krishna consciousness, but anyways, he wanted to get married, but then he asked Tirthamaj about this particular woman, this particular Mataji, that he wanted to marry. And Tirthamaj said, as Mahatattva, he said, hey, Prabhuji, like, she's really difficult person. She's very intense, very difficult, and she's also, mentally unstable. Like, please don't do that, And I don't know what the devotee was thinking. Maybe he's thinking, oh, he's just pushing me around, and he's just trying to avoid me from, doing what I want to do, or avoid me from getting married, and, I'm not going to listen to him type of thing. I don't know what he was thinking, but he went on with it. And, that's exactly what happened. I mean, she was very controlling, very demanding, very, like that, and she even would criticize him after they split up, and, made a blog about how he's such a rascal and all this type of stuff. And then later on, he told, he understood. He was right, I was wrong, he was right. But he had to go through that, He didn't just from hearing. There's also another devotee here, and he married some new bhakti type of thing, And Tirthamaj was also saying, hey, I don't think it's a good idea. But he also just went on with it. And, they were together and about to get married and all that. And it was, they were engaged. And then she gets a call from her old boyfriend in L.A. or something, who's probably got lots more money and stuff like that. And, then she's gone, She just goes up back to L.A. and ditches him. And then that devotee, really suffered, really suffered. Maharaj was telling me, they went on a walk and he was crying, and it was freezing. It gets kind of cold here in wintertime in the morning. He didn't have a sweater on. He was just crying, really upset, So, but he realized, he was right and I was wrong. But he had to go through that, he didn't just from hearing. I mean, there's also another devotee I'm thinking of, but I don't know if anyone told him it wasn't a good idea, but he just went along with it. God knows if anyone told him anything, but he also experienced a lot of pain in that broken relationship. So, there's certain things that people tell us, or that whatever the cases are, what we should do, what we shouldn't do, how do we be successful, how do we not be successful, And, it's true, sometimes we have to experience it and then learn like that.
Maybe speculation, maybe he's better off having that experience because, maybe people's hearts are so hard that they need to get their heart broken so they can realize Krishna's inside of there.
Yeah, it's true, sometimes, Yeah, everything happens for a reason, and people have to go through certain things. Like it says in the Brahmacharya ashram, it says that, as far as I've read from traditional ancient brahmacharya systems, that brahmacharya young boys join at the age of 5 and they stay till 20, 25, something like that, right? And throughout, they're being trained and explained. There's many explanations happening there. That many things are going on. The teacher's trying to explain to them, right? And of course, the Bhagavatam's there, and they're learning Mahabharata and all these different types of things. how to be cultured, how to be disciplined, self-controlled. But one of the things that they're being taught is that, hey, there's a lot of suffering in household life. There's a lot of suffering there, and it's a lot